There are two things I want to tell you. The things we are discussing here, you might think futuristic, and they aren't. We are not here to discuss science fiction. The technology Charu is talking about, and the technology others who are, they're going to present, they are available for today, they are accessible. Okay. So what is the problem here? The problem is our mindset, that we need to be bold, we need to be courageous to deploy these technologies and get out of our small mindset. And I would like to invite you to turn to the last page, back cover of the page, booklet. You will find the way that how you can contribute to the summit content via SMS, via Twitter, via Facebook. And please keep sending on your questions, and they will be transmitted to the session chairs. Okay, the next session is about Internet of People. Charu mentioned about 5 global trends. The first thing is Internet of Me. Okay, Internet of People. So we are moving from Charu's Internet of Me to Internet of People this session. How are we going to leverage digital technology to bring the people together, to create brand communities, create deeper, intimate, intelligent, and profitable experiences? Charu talked about, 2 myths, many myths. One is 360-degree experience. That is being replaced by omnipresence. So we have 3 great speakers. So you're going to tell us, research-based, these are facts, how the digital behavior is changing across the devices, across the day parts, and how you can leverage that to create customer engagement. Then we have Joe, 3M digital strategist from 3M Australia. He's going to talk about what is this omnipresence, omni-channel. All of us know multi-channel. Hey, I have a television commercial, the same thing, converted to a radio channel, radio commercial, and, you have, print ads which resembles, the same message. So that's multi-channel, we all know. What is this omni-channel? Okay, so that is how do we create an ecosystem around your brand, around your customer, using multiple devices, multiple platforms, and multiple technologies. Then we have our own Vidya. Sivaraja, I don't think she needs any introduction to this audience. One of the most senior marketeers who is now in charge of emerging markets for Fonterra, based here, right here in Sri Lanka. She is going to tell us there are 7 ways of committing suicide. How do you avoid committing suicide? Okay, and she is going to say that how we as brand managers, we as enterprise marketing professionals, how we need to change our mindset, we need to change our behavior, we need to give away our control. So Vidya is going to enlighten us. Zoe is going to start. Zoe is the digital director for Asia Pacific for TNS, and I have the privilege of having one of Sri Lanka's most senior marketeers, my friend. We have a relationship over 30, 40 years, 30 years, because he's only 42 years. So, Imal Fonseca. So, Imal, over to you, and you have time till 11 o'clock. Thank you. Please welcome our panel of our opening session.
Thank you, Lakshman. I think on behalf of the panel, it's our pleasure to be here. And thank you, Charu, for a very enlightening opening for this session. I think that set the stage. We will now start off with Zoe. Can I just invite you on stage and then take it from there?
Thank you. And thank you very much, Lakshman, for inviting me back. I'm Zoe. I'm responsible for digital for Asia, across Asia Pacific for TNS. And for anybody who doesn't know TNS, we're an insights consultancy. And we advise our clients on how to build winning marketing strategies. And increasingly, that means that we need to advise our clients on how to develop winning marketing strategies in a digital world, because we know that the world has changed exponentially. Now, I can see some familiar looks of recognition in the audience. This is from Minority Report. And this is what marketing was supposed to be like today. eyeball recognition, hyper-targeted messages, very localized targeting, marketing messages that really knew who we were and spoke to us directly. And the reality is we're not quite there yet. But some of this does feel familiar, because we know that the marketing environment has changed exponentially over the past 10 years. And we know that us, as marketeers, are racing to keep up. Because it's not us who's driving this change. It's them. It's our consumers. It's their increasing appetite for digital and the whole new behaviors that this has introduced and the whole ways in which they're expecting to engage with us. So this is demanding that we change the way we work, not just in order to be relevant, but also to take advantage of the amazing opportunities that digital and advertising technology present us with today. Because when we look at how all of these people, and they're highly connected and spending time on their devices, spend their time, we very quickly see that if digital could ever have been considered niche, for the online community, digital is absolutely mass media. Digital has greater reach at every time of day, with the one exception of dinner time. And that's because we actually put our phones down in order to eat some food. But apart from that, people are engaged with digital devices and digital media at more times a day than traditional media. Even in the traditional prime time, evening time slot, we're still on our devices. So if digital could ever have been considered niche, today that's no longer the case. And this presents us with challenges as marketeers, but it also presents us with a number of opportunities. And I'd like to spend the next few minutes sharing 5 of the opportunities that we see to really market meaningfully to the connected consumer. The first opportunity is around social fragmentation. Now, who in the room has not been on a social network, any social network, today? Nobody. We're all socially addicted, and it's only continuing to grow. We add more and more social networks into our routine, into our habits, every day, every week, every year. It's really continuing to grow. We spend more time on instant messaging and social networking than any other activity. This is Sri Lanka data from our Connected Life study, which we launched quite recently here in Sri Lanka. But this is actually consistent globally. Instant messaging and social networking are the most popular activities in every market globally. They're the first activities that new users to the internet embrace. And actually, for many people, they kind of bypass the browser experience and go straight to Facebook. For many people, Facebook is the internet. And with the introduction of initiatives such as Facebook Lite, which makes the Facebook experience available on more basic feature phones, that's only set to continue. And we need to take this seriously as marketeers. This is where people are spending their time. But we also need to appreciate it's a fragmented environment. Last year, on a single day, 1 billion people connected with Facebook. And that means that Facebook is not just a branded content channel. Facebook is the single most significant ad network that we have globally today. But while Facebook may give us great reach, some of the newer platforms may give us different things in terms of engagement, in terms of customer service, in terms of sales conversion. And we need to be alert to the opportunities that these platforms present us with. Because it is a fragmenting landscape. In Sri Lanka, we're using 2.4 different messaging or networking apps daily, and 4.7 messaging or networking apps on a weekly basis. So this is where our audience is spending their time. And that's not to say we need to be everywhere, because we don't. We need to understand what's important to our target audience and how we can best innovate around our communications to meaningfully play a role in those spaces. So a couple of examples. This is the Gatorade campaign for this year's Super Bowl. Now, for many of us, the most interesting thing about the Super Bowl is not the game itself, it's the advertising. It's one of the most expensive, it's one of the most valuable advertising slots globally anywhere in the year. And Gatorade decided that for their campaign, they would abandon TV and they would go to Snapchat. Now, Snapchat is a new and emerging platform that hasn't actually yet got full advertising capabilities in Asia, but that's set to come later this year. And we're seeing the user numbers grow on a continual basis. And it's a younger demographic, but we're also seeing that creep up as well. And this is their campaign that saw the Snapchat lens being added, so you could actually add your own photo and send it to friends with you being dunked by a bucket of Gatorade. And this is Serena Williams, who they used to launch the campaign with. They got 160 million impressions. Only 115 million people actually watched the Super Bowl, and their campaign was significantly cheaper than buying an ad spot. So they knew how to target their audience in a different way. Another innovation that we see coming is the Facebook Messenger chatbots. Now, they were introduced in April this year. And this means that now brands can engage with customers in the Messenger window, in the space where customers, consumers are already spending their time. Brands can now play a role there. And the example that's playing behind me is Burger King in the US, who are using this to actually make sales. So people can go through the menus and they can purchase what they want and go and pick it up at a Burger King nearby. But what this means to us is that the conversation and the opportunity is very different. That we need to flex, not to try and drag customers to where we want them to be, but to understand where they are and see how we can play a meaningful role to make fragmentation work for us. The second opportunity we see is to appreciate the move from TV to content. Now, as marketeers, we've been talking about the decline of TV for well over a decade. And it's true, in certain parts of the world, the viewing of live broadcast TV is in decline. It fell about 12% in the US last year alone. So yes, broadcast TV is a little bit at risk. Not here in Sri Lanka, interestingly. When we talk to the online population, we find that actually television still has 100% of daily reach. But what we are starting to see come in is the viewing of online video. And this is on a number of different formats. So it may be YouTube, it may be the video that's appearing in your social feed, it may be video that you're going and seeking out, it may be non-linear TV. And this is a new behavior that's been added in. What we see that's really interesting is that this is incremental. Heavy viewers of online video are also heavy viewers of TV. So people are adding in this additional video into their day on top of their TV viewing habits. And we know that they're doing this on mobile. They're increasingly doing this on the move. So what mobile and what data has given us is the opportunity to create additional marketing moments during the course of the day. So online videos really continue set to grow. Now, people often say to me, yes, but it's just the millennials, it's just the younger generations that are doing this. And actually, it's not. Data here from a number of markets, but you can see that actually there's still pretty significant figures amongst the older generations. And yes, it is the younger generations leading the way, but it's by no means exclusively their domain. So in this context, it's pretty clear that the future is not about networks and channels and programming grids. It's not about linear TV. The future is about fully searchable databases of content and the ability to watch what you want to watch, where you want to watch it, and when you want to watch it. So what does this mean for us as marketeers? Well, it means, again, that we need to think differently. This is an example of ponds in the Philippines. Now, hopefully the video will play. Ponds had a challenge in that young girls, teenage girls, weren't coming into the facial skincare category because they hadn't really got the message about the importance of proper facial skincare, and they were still using soap and water on their face. The real challenge for ponds, though, is that teenage girls in the Philippines don't watch TV. What they do watch is Korean soap operas on YouTube. So, Ponds created their own version of a Korean soap opera, highly engaging, entertaining video content, with each of the 3 episodes actually playing for 6 minutes. Now, they got phenomenal reach from this, and really managed to engage their target audience in a meaningful way. And they demonstrated that by understanding that their audience wasn't watching TV, and by moving to a different content platform, and by telling their story in a different way, you don't get many 6-minute ad spots, they were really able to connect meaningfully with their target audience. So we need to think about our strategy for the long term and think again about where our audience is spending time and how we can best meet them there. And that may mean a focus on video content rather than traditional TV advertising. The third opportunity is to harness the data exchange economy. And we heard about the volume of data that people are giving away without really thinking about it. And there's an opportunity and a responsibility for us as brands to think about what we will give back in return. There's been a lot of fear-mongering in our industry that all of the potential audience that digital makes available to us is an imminent threat of being wiped out due to the installation of ad blockers. And yes, we are seeing ad blockers grow, but we don't think we're facing an ad blockalypse just yet. Because in the work we do, we speak to consumers regularly. And we ask them how they feel about advertising. And the reality is, people actually feel more positive than negative about us tracking their behavior if it means that we're serving them better, more creative ads. Now that's a big responsibility from us as an industry, to ensure that we are serving them better, more creative ads. But it goes beyond that. It goes beyond just serving up better advertising. It goes beyond thinking about the value exchange, what we're giving to people in return for their data. And that's about offering new types of value. This is an example of Under Armour, the sportswear, fitnesswear, apparel and shoe manufacturer, who last year purchased the MyFitnessPal app for a pretty impressive $475 million. Now, they're giving people a really fantastic free fitness app. And in return, they're getting all of their data about how they're working out, where they're working out, the type of exercise they're doing, the time of day that they're doing it, this time they're spending on it. And they're using this data to inform their product development. They're using this data to inform their marketing and communication strategies. Oh, and they have a pretty significant installed user base of 90 million people that they now have a direct line of communication to. And by giving people this fantastic fitness app, they've got that place on their phone secured. They're one of the few apps that people are going to be using on a daily or several times a week basis. And this is a really powerful place for them to be. They understand the power of the data exchange economy. The next opportunity we see is the opportunity to define and then activate the moments that really matter to your brand, the moments where your brand can be most meaningful. And I'm not talking here about real-time marketing. I'm talking about the many, many different moments that we can be relevant. Because we know that media has changed. We know that the phone has been a big driver of this. This is US data. And in the US, we have 83 single sessions of being on our phone every day. Every time we go to our phone to unlock it, to do something, and then close it again. And that's 83 opportunities to engage with customers that didn't exist in a pre-mobile phone era. Because as unpredictable as we like to think we are, there is certain habitual behaviors we demonstrate that can present an opportunity for brands to connect with us. And this is a really nice example from Johnson & Johnson in the baby care category. We were mining social data for Johnson & Johnson, and we identified a 4 a.m. spike in conversation. And this was young mothers who were going online looking for advice and guidance for how to get their little babies back to sleep in the middle of the night. Now, delving further into this data, we identified that it was a tablet moment. The mums were holding their babies. They weren't on their phones, they certainly weren't sitting at a PC, but they were able to tap out a message on their tablet. Now, what this does is present Johnson & Johnson with a fantastic content opportunity, an opportunity to create really relevant content that's got the right balance between being supportive and guiding mothers in what's quite a lonely time of night, optimized by tablet and delivered to them at the time at which they need it. Now, pushing overt advertising messaging is probably not going to be very much appreciated at this time, but getting the balance right can present a great opportunity for Johnson & Johnson once they've identified that moment and then activate around it meaningfully. The last opportunity I'd like to share is the opportunity to deliver personalization at scale, which sounds like a bit of a contradiction in terms, but we can do it. This is everybody. Sorry, gone too far. This is everybody who is talking about Pepsi on Twitter. We're following all of their conversations. And the interesting thing to note here is that the conversations are really distinct. There's no crossover whatsoever between the conversations that happen between the football fans and the girl gamers. So what this does is present Pepsi with an opportunity to develop really targeted, really tailored content and campaigns and take it to those communities based on what they know they're interested in. And I'm going to finish with an example of a European brand. I've gone too far again. This is Zalando. And Zalando is... Zalando is a European retailer, online retailer. And last year, they started shipping Topshop clothes to Germany. Now, Topshop is a high street brand, but it has very strong fashion credentials, and it's very aspirational for an audience of teenage girls. And this is what they did. Okay, I'll try and explain the advert. What we would be able to see here would be Cara Delevingne. And Cara Delevingne is the model of the moment, so very on brand for them. And Cara Delevingne filmed 1,000 different adverts for them, talking about bringing Topshop not just to their town, not just to Germany, but to specific towns in Germany. 1,000 hyper-localized different adverts. And these adverts were sent to teenage girls all over Germany via Facebook. So imagine you're sitting in front of your Facebook feed, and up pops Cara Delevingne telling you about a really cool brand, not just coming to Germany, but coming to your town in Germany. Now that feels really personal, and it really feels as though the brand values you. So they got it right with really hyper-local targeting. And I seem to have lost my slides completely, but I'm getting to the end. So just to recap, the five of the opportunities that we do see for marketeers in the connected world, and there's many more if I had more than 20 minutes, 5 of the opportunities we do see are to really understand that social fragmentation is happening, and it presents us with huge opportunities if we can understand where our audience is. That our audience is moving away from TV towards content, and we need to recognize and benefit from the opportunities that this presents us with. That there is a wealth of data that we're asking our customers to give us, and we need to think about how we can give them value in return for this.
Hi guys, I've got some great news from Zalando.
She's here now,
available
being upstaged by Cara Delevingne. Let's watch her while she's here. Okay, she's gone again. Let's keep going. I think we'll leave it. Thank you. Thank you. We'll move on without her. Thanks. The opportunity around data, the fourth opportunity is around defining the moments where your brand can be most relevant and most meaningful to your customers, and planning how you're going to develop content and activate it around those moments. And finally, to think about how you can develop and deliver personalization and deliver this at scale. And they're just 5 of the opportunities we see, and I'm sure we'll be talking about more during the course of the panel discussions. Thank you.